I hope that you are well and also hope that you are having a good day so far. Today we'll be doing our grade 4 English lesson on commas. And before we start, we're going to log on to aplusstudents.ca. Once you've logged on to aplusstudents.ca with our username as well as our password, once we've logged on to aplusstudents.ca with our username as well as our password, and then we're going to select the subject of English language arts, grade 4, and then we're going to scroll down up until we get to the chapter of commas. All right. So our chapter is commas. Our subject is English language arts. Grade 4. And our lessons that we are going to be focusing on under the chapter of commas is commas with series and commas with dates. All right. So when it comes to commas, right? Then we have commas. Usually commas are put there to kind of bring about a pause, all right? And then we continue. But then we also have commas with series. And then we're also going to be making mention of commas with dates. And commas with series are where we, for example, if your parent maybe sends you to the shop and they tell you to go and buy a few items, right? Now they maybe say, okay, go and buy some snacks or buy fruits and veggies, and they'll tell you to buy apples, pears, bananas, and right? So now we make a list of all the things that we need. So we, for example, would say that we are going to buy apples, comma, pears, comma, bananas, and so comma and maybe what is another fruit? Strawberries. So when we add the comma in things like this, then we call that then we call those series or commas with series. So we use commas, right, to separate three or more items within a series, like I had made mention of there on top. And then we need to put a comma after each item in the list, like we made mention of apples, comma, pears, comma, bananas, comma, and strawberries, and then either period. So we put a comma after each one of the items that is listed, except for the last one, because the last one we're either going to add our end mark, which is either our period. All right. And if we also look at another example, right, of a sentence where we can, for example, list a series of things, then we say the American flag is red, comma, white, comma, and blue, and we add our period. Then we also have commas with dates, right? And the commas with dates, say for example, like today is the 5th of June, right? 2024. Now it says in date, we use a comma between the day and the year. So we'll have a month, like today's date is June, and the day is 05, comma, and the year is 2024. Because they said we need to add a comma between the day and the year. So even if you were to write your birthday, right? Just think of when your birthday is, think of the month, think of the day, think of the year, right? Like my birthday is in January, right? My birthday is 18 and the year 1990 something. That's my birthday. So try to write down your birthday by first adding the month, then adding the day, comma, and then year, the year that you were born. Because that will basically show commas with dates. All right. Let me just try and get in here. So that is commas with series and commas with dates. Yes, well done. November 1st, 2013. Yes, well done. There we have a few, right? Because that is commas with dates, right? Because when we write down a date, then we write down the month, we write down the day, comma, and then the year. So we have two birthdays that is the same day. All right. So now we're going to aplusstudents.ca. Well done, guys, and thank you very much for your responses. And we said commas with series. We use a comma to separate three or more items within a series. You need to put a comma after each item within the list, except for the last one. And we made an example of the American flag is red, white, and blue, period. And if we look at the activities now, right, where we are going to be looking at commas with series, it says correct the bold part of a sentence by adding missing commas in the sentence. If the sentence is already correct, then don't add any. Like if we look at this sentence, right? It says, is the cord in the garage, the cellar, or the attic? We need to add our comma to complete or to correct that sentence. And if we were to correct that sentence, then we can say, is the cord in the garage, comma, the cellar, comma, or the attic? So we basically had to add a comma over there. All right. It says now we need to look at another sentence, right, where we're also going to have to add the missing commas. Does Gary want to be an astronaut, an engineer, or a scientist? And if we're going to add our comma, right, and then we're going to say, does Gary want to be an astronaut, comma, an engineer, comma, there we add our in comma, or a scientist. So we had to add our comma. Remember, you need to either add a comma also in front of and or you need to put a comma in front of or, right? When we list our commas with series. And then it says the committee includes several doctors, nurses, and patients. So now we need to also add the comma over here within the sentence. And if we are going to add a comma, then it says the committee includes several doctors, nurses, comma, and patients. So now we're going to a test where we are going to look at commas with series. Guys, focus. I just now said some of you came from grade 3 when I was busy teaching grade 3. And I told you that I am going to block you. I'm going to remove you if you are going to disturb the class. And you're doing the same thing now here with the grade 4s. I am going to remove you. Let us focus. These other students that want to learn. Some of you were already in grade 3, like just now, a few minutes ago, and now you are here in grade 4. I'm going to remove you if you're going to disturb the rest of the class. So let us focus. Please leave the conversations for when we are done with the lesson in your own time. Please and thank you. Let us just respect the others that are here to learn. All right, so we're going to have to look at the correct words in bold, right? So correct the bold part of the sentence by adding any missing commas. So option 1 says the leaves, branches, and trunks of the tree is covered with ants. Or option 2, the leaves, branches, and trunk of this tree are covered with ants. We need to select the correct answer that clearly shows where our comma is within the series. And if we were to choose the correct one, then we'll choose option 1 because we said it is the leaves, branches, comma, and trunk, right? We need to add a comma before our coordinating conjunction, which is either and or. So the first one is correct. Well done, Sam. We need to choose the correct, or we need to add the comma correctly where we see the bold, where we see it is bold. I got a robot, a toy rocket, comma, and a telescope for my birthday. Or do we say I got a robot, comma, a toy rocket, and a telescope for my birthday? Which one, or which option is correct? Where all the commas are correctly placed. All right, so if we were to choose the correct one, then we will choose option 1 again. So well done. Option 1 is correct. All right, once again, we need to choose the sentence or the option where the commas are correctly placed. Yes, well done. So we need to also add the comma in front of the of and. So well done, Sam. Option one was correct. Well done. Let's go to the next one. It says, do you want sausage, comma, eggs, comma, and toast for breakfast? Or do we say the second option, which is, do you want sausage, comma, eggs, and toast for breakfast? Which one is correct? Remember, we said that we need to add a comma also in front of our coordinating conjunction, which is either and or. So we need to also add a comma in front of and. So which means that the correct option will be option one. So we say, do you want sausage, comma, eggs, comma, and. So we also need to put comma in front of and, or we need to put a comma in front of or. So well done, everybody. All right, so the committee includes several doctors, comma, nurses, comma, and patients. Or is it the second option, which is the committee includes several doctors, comma, nurses, and patients? We need to choose the correct option. Option one, that is correct, or option two, that is correct. All right, and if we were to choose the correct option, we'll choose option one once again. Right, so well done, guys. All right, we need to choose the correct where the comma is, right? It says, will you measure this in yards, feet, or inches? Or do we choose option two? Will you measure this in yards, feet, or inches? Look at where the commas are. Then we need to say which one is correct. All right, and if we were to choose the correct one, then we'll choose option one, which is, will you measure this in yards, comma, feet, comma, or inches? And that is correct. Because we also need to put a comma in front of either or in front of and. All right. So that is commas with series, right? So now we're going on to commas with dates. And remember, we said with commas with dates, you need to use the commas between the day as well as the year, right? So we add the month, we add the day, then we add a comma, and then our year. So we then add the comma between the day and the year, right? And we made an example of today's date being, so we can say today's date being June 4, we add a comma, 2004. So that is an example of today's date where we add the month, then we add the day, comma, and the year. All right. So we see that we add our month, then we add our day, comma, and then the year. And if we now look at our examples, right, or let's say an example exercise, it says, did Robert Peary really reach the North Pole on April, 6, 1909? Is this correct? If we look at this date over here, is that correct? All right. So we basically, when if we rewrite this date, right, and then we say the date needs to be April 6, comma 1909. We don't put a comma after April, right? All right. So now we're going on to, all right. So we see that when we write commas with dates, then we first add the month, then we add the day, comma, and the year. All right. So now we're going on to our test, right? We are going to write commas with dates. We're going to choose the correct date. So we need to add where the commas are correctly, right? Where the missing commas are. It says astronaut Chris Hadfield returned to Earth on, is it May 13, 2013, option 1, or option 2, which is May, 13, 2013. Which one is correct when it comes to writing the date? All right, and if you were to choose the correct option, then yes, option 1 is correct. So well done. Option one is correct. All right, we're going to choose another date, all right, to see which one is correctly. Remember, keeping in mind we have our month, our day, followed by comma, and today's year, the year. All right, and if we were to choose the correct one, right, where we add the comma correctly, then we'll choose option one. Yes, well done. Option one is correct. So well done. It says Vondra's first baseball game was on May 15, 2014. Or do we say option two is May, 15, 2014? And if we were to choose the correct one, then we would choose option one. So we're now going to correct the bold part of the sentence by adding any missing commas. All right, and if we were to add the correct sentence, right? And then we once again will choose option one because it's February 7, comma 1964. So once again, it is option one. So the Boston Tea Party took place December 16, comma 1773. So it says the Boston Tea Party took place either December 16, comma 1773, or the second option December, comma 1773. All right, and if we were to choose the correct one, then we choose the first option again. So the first option is again correct. Guys, we are almost done. We will be done soon. Actually, we just have one more to do and then we're done. Right? Let's look at the next one. It says the first Groundhog Day was celebrated on February 2nd, 1887. All right, and if we were to choose the correct word, right, where we add a comma, then we'd say it is option one, where we say the Groundhog Day was celebrated on February, which is the month. Then I mentioned the day, followed by a comma and the year, because they specifically said that the all right, and if we were going to choose the correct one, we will choose option one. Yes, well done, everybody. All right, so that is now the end of our lesson on commas. We did commas with series and then commas with dates. Remember, commas with series, right? You need to first add three or more of your items, and then we add our commas after each one. But then we also just add a comma before the word and or the word or, right? Before we then complete that sentence. All right, so this is now the end of our lesson. Thank you very much, grade fours for joining the class. I really hope that you're going to have a good evening further. Goodbye. All right. So this is the end of our lessons where we spoke about commas, commas with series, and commas with dates. Goodbye.